and welcome to Tracy Momi Reads. I am back again with another book review. Today, first of all, I don't know how I'm going to come across on this camera. I just came from a 3-mile walk, and I was like, I need to talk about this book. I didn't want to take notes. I wanted to like fresh off the dome, because most of the time when I review books, it's after I've taken notes, sometimes I'll say that in the video, let me look at my notes or whatever. I have like, memories of the book. And as I look at my notes, I'm like, oh yeah, that's what happened. But this particular book, like I literally just finished it. So here we go. The book is called The Best Lies by David Ellis. The Best Lies. And you can see this barcode up here. I got this one from the library. And there's like a little tagline here. It says, Leo is a liar and the only one who knows the truth. Okay, so let's jump into it and let's talk about who is Leo. Okay, so Leo Balanoff, he is an attorney who he has a very traumatizing past, right? From when he was a child. And he sees the world through helping people that are, kind of disenfranchised. Like he's going to do whatever it takes, basically, to help defend people who may, the law and justice may not truly be something that they're afforded, right? And he has become a world-class liar. At one point, he was basically diagnosed as a pathological liar. But like I said, he had a traumatizing event in his childhood that made him, I don't know that, and as you read the book, you learn that I don't know that it was so much like he was a pathological liar where he couldn't like help it or whatever, or he just took every opportunity to lie. It was something he was taught. It was a skill he was taught, so keep that in mind. So basically what this book was about, okay, so when the book starts off, like Leo is in his apartment and he is waiting to be arrested, basically. He's done something or something has happened and he knows that the police are coming. And he calls, his lawyer friend, his partner or whatever, to let him know, hey, it's about to go down. I'm going to, get arrested here. So let me just see who comes, to the door or whatever. And then like they go and they, book him and they're talking to him about a murder that has happened to someone. And then we start backtracking. All right. So we get set up with the first chapter as to this is where we are in this point in time. But then all of the other chapters are chapters that lead us full circle back to that moment at the end of the book. Right. And so we we learn how we got there, or how he got there, starting with like his childhood, his college years, young adulthood, him becoming a lawyer. And the thing that I appreciated, sometimes I feel like when authors do that, like they give us all of this backstory or this history, it's like, we really didn't need to know all that, right? I know we needed to know. We needed to know in this story because he connected every single dot. When this story was brought full circle, every dot had been connected. Everything that you may have thought in passing was like, why? Okay, that he's just writing. Like, why was that important to mention? The 6 degrees of separation and the connective tissue in this book was borderline genius. Okay. It was crazy because I'm telling you, as I was reading it, I was kind of like, okay, why do we care about that? Or how is this going to fit in? But everything was intentional. Everything was intentional. And there was, a thing that I had this moment where I don't know if David Ellis, the author, if he's this diabolical or if this is just me reaching, right? Leo was a violinist. So he played the violin and he was very good at it. And, there's this thing that people say, when you get over on somebody or you have people do what you want them to do or whatever, that you played them like a violin. So I'm just wondering, because Leo, he was an expert on the instrument and in real life, like in circles, and doing what he was doing in this book. And the reason, like I said, that he had gotten arrested was because somebody had been murdered. And the person that had been murdered was a bad guy. He was a despicable guy, right? But, law enforcement, you can't just be out here killing people because they're bad. We got to follow processes, and sometimes the processes don't work. Let's just put that out there, okay? But I get it. We need the law and order, because otherwise the world would be crazy. It would be the purge every single day. But who this man was in Leo's life and how it was just so good. I don't know. I read another David Ellis book, and I think it was called Look Closer. And I feel like there were some of the same things went on in that book, where you had, people and situations and circumstances that at the end you were kind of like, okay, so that's how that all fit together. But I feel like this one was even more masterful, right? And I know it sounds like I'm glazing this book, but if you're someone who likes true suspense books and mystery books that have that cat and mouse element, and everybody's trying to one up everybody, like you can't trust anybody. It wasn't so much that you couldn't trust people in this book as far as them not being who they said they were, but you didn't know, like, a lot of times, like, was Leo actually going along with something, or was he just setting the narrative to how he wanted things to appear, right? Because, I just cannot say too much without giving it away. But there was a woman that he met in the book. Her name was Andy. I think it was Andrea or something. Like, it was short. Andy was short for something longer, but they all called her Andy. And they had met when he was like, I think he was bartending, or maybe he was a waiter or something in college. And that's when they first met. And mind blown when you realize what actually brought them together. Okay, that's revealed at the end. But they do become a couple, and Leo goes into he becomes an attorney, a lawyer, and Andy goes into law enforcement. Like, she becomes a police officer, and then ultimately a detective, and things like that. And the way also that the author used Andy in this book, in this story, and how it was connected to Leo and what he was doing, it was really good. The whole story focuses on two things. The police trying to figure out who's guilty of killing this man. And then there's this company, like a tech pharmaceutical type company, and they've come up with this code, this genome code or DNA code or something, to help, I think, with cancer, curing some certain kinds of cancer, but whatever it was, that's a big part too, because somebody is trying to take that technology and that stuff that has been created to sell it to the highest bidder, that type of thing. So Leo gets involved in that, with the promise of maybe the murder charge going away. It was just crazy how it was all just so seamless. When on its face, you would think, okay, what does this have to do with that? Or why that? Or why this? And it just all made so much sense, and the pacing was really good, because the chapters are short. Because you can look at the book here and see the thickness of it. I think there are, let me see how many pages. There are 371 pages, but the chapter list is crazy because the last chapter is 95. So you go into this thinking 95 chapters, but like chapter 95 is like 3 pages. So the chapters are very short. There was one chapter, it was 1 page. So I think that the author used those chapters as a way of changing point of view, because we get the story through Leo, through Andy, and then there's an FBI agent by the name of Chris. So we get their points of view. I think that Chris is the only one who it's first person. The other 2 is like third person or whatever, but it's still their point of view and what they see in the room and how they see the scenes playing out or whatever. So I think he just used those chapters as a way to delineate and to be able to break up the story to the next day, or one person thought this and go back and let's see what the other person was thinking, which was also pretty clever. But I'm just gonna close out this review with I have to read this blurb. Okay, Leo Balanoff is a crusading attorney with unthinkable skeletons in his closet. He's also a diagnosed pathological liar. When a predatory gangster with a long list of victims is found dead and Leo's fingerprints show up on the murder weapon, no one believes a word he says in his own defense. But he might be the FBI's only shot at taking down the gangster's even more lethal boss. Risk his life going undercover for the feds or head straight to prison for murder. Leo accepts the FBI's offer, but it comes with a price, including a collision course with his ex, Andy Piotrowski, a former cop and the one who got away. Anyone else forced to walk this tightrope between the ambitious FBI agent and a cruel, calculating crime boss would fail. But this isn't Leo's first balancing act, and he still has a few tricks up his sleeve. Again, he played everybody like a violin. It was just really good. So like I said, if you're into like thriller, like fast paced stuff that has like police procedurals, undercover operations, if you like past and present tense, twists and turns, you're gonna devour this one. You're gonna devour this one. I was trying to think, was there anything that I didn't like about it? He had a brother, Leo did, a brother named Trace. And I guess it would have been too convoluted, but I would have loved to like get something from Trace. Like he was in the book and was a big part of the book, but we never heard from him directly, like having his own chapter or his own point of view. That's the only thing. I think at least one chapter I would have liked to hear from him and what he was thinking, since so much of the story low-key kind of revolved around him, right? So I would have enjoyed that. Trigger warnings. Somebody was murdered, and I think that they talk about like how he was murdered, like how they found him. Not the murder itself, but just like the investigation when they go and look at the body and determine how he was unalived and what have you. It's crazy. There's like obviously curse words in this book, but not as many as you would think for the type of book that it is. But yeah. Oh, the big thing, I know what it is, big trigger warning I want to say. There is mention, because the guy that they're talking about who was, killed, and they say that he was a predatory gangster, like they meant that shit. He was trafficking kids and women and, stuff like that. So it's mentioned, it's not like really talked about on, the consequence of something is talked about on page, but the story doesn't like revolve around that. There's not a whole lot of like in-depth, dialogue or text about that, but it's there. So be mindful. Yeah, I just loved it. I really loved it. I feel like lately I have not been reading a lot of even 4-star books, let alone 5. And I would give this one a solid 4.5, if not 4.75. That thing with the brother, I just really feel like that would have like been the, oh my God, this is the best book. I've read some 5-star books now this year, don't get me wrong. And most of the books that I'm bringing to the channel are books that I really enjoyed. But I've read a lot of books. I think my thing appears like at 69. And this may be 70, so I need to change that. But the books that I've read lately that you guys probably won't hear about, you may see some mention of them on my Instagram page. A lot of those books have at best been 3 stars, 3.5 stars. So I was just really excited. This put me in such a good mood. That's why I wanted to rush and talk about it. So yeah, The Best Lies by David Ellis. It's a fairly new book. Let me see. I don't know when did this come out? I'm looking at the, okay, now the copyright says 2024. So maybe I thought it was brand new, but maybe it's not. Maybe it just came on my radar. Anyway, if you have read The Best Lives, let me know in the comments, what did you think? Am I doing too much? Or did you really think how everything came together was just really, really masterful? Let me know in the comments. Thanks so much for watching. Make sure that you like this video. Go ahead right now, if you have not already subscribed to my channel, and take the opportunity to do so. We're getting into the last quarter pretty soon here of 2025, and those numbers are rising, but we're still got a ways to go to hit that 2,000 mark. And I appreciate everyone who has already followed. And you know what? Make sure that you share my videos with anyone who you think may enjoy my content, or if you know someone who's looking for book recommendations. Thanks again. You guys enjoy the rest of your weekend, and I will see you next week. Bye.